Hard to believe, but the passenger who landed this light aircraft at Humberside Airport yesterday evening had no flying experience whatsoever. He'd been talked through how to land it by a flight instructor on the ground after the pilot became ill. This afternoon, the Cessna plane remained on the tarmac. The two men on board had been on a pleasure flight from Sandtoft Airport in North Lincolnshire yesterday when the distress call was made. Sadly, the pilot died last night, but the instructor responsible for the plane's safe landing told me what his passenger would have faced at the cockpit's controls.
He'd be sat here with absolutely no panel lights whatsoever, because I don't even know where the switches are, and they'd be trying to keep it level with pitching this and rolling and using the pedals at the same time. Quite an achievement, really. Couldn't see any of this, remember. It's blank because it was dark and the lights weren't on. All he would see were the runway lights and the angle of approach.
Everything happened very quickly. At 6:20, the Mayday call was received by Humberside Air Traffic Control. A minute later, the airport emergency services and Humberside Police Fire and Rescue Services were alerted. At 6:25, the flight instructor was telephoned and arrived within 10 minutes at the airport. By 6:30, the instructor had made contact with the passenger, who made 4 practice circuits of the airspace. At 7:30, he talked him through a successful landing. This is a very similar light aircraft control panel. To someone like me who's never flown one of these before, it's utterly confusing. Imagine what would have been going through the passenger's mind last night in the dark when these controls were barely visible. Had it not been for Roy, the flight instructor, and his calm advice, there could have been a very different outcome.
You've got to get on with it, haven't you? You think about it afterwards, after the event, and didn't get much sleep last night, but thankfully it turned out reasonably successful.
The family of the pilot has asked that he is not identified. His passenger, thanks to his own efforts and those of the air traffic control team, had a very lucky escape. Catherine Jacob, 5 News, Humberside Airport.